Hey, Shackers! We're back with a third episode of This Week in Switch 2, where we talk about everything about the latest Nintendo console and the games that are playable or being released or being talked about being released. And since our last episode, we got a Nintendo Direct. But not just any Nintendo Direct, a Donkey Kong Direct. A Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct that detailed a lot. Holy crap, is this game big. It was a 15, 17 minute Direct, but that thing was packed with information.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that weird purple rock that you saw on DK's shoulder, it's Pauline. Odd Rock was Pauline this whole time. Now I want to bring this up. Is Nintendo starting to build preview embargoes into their own narratives?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? Because, why would you hide her identity otherwise?
Because, why did you have to hide it from me on April 2nd when I played Donkey Kong and all those Nintendo Experience demos? We meet Odd Rock, right? It's like, yo, here's Odd Rock. And I'm like, is my companion in this game is going to be a rock? It's not Diddy Kong, it's a freaking rock. I felt weird about it in April. Because I was like, everything else felt great. And then there's this dumb rock on your shoulder. I'm like, who's never been in the IP before. But no, it's Pauline. And she's a, teenager? Teenager version of Pauline.
I guess that she's 13 in the story.
So, this is an origin story for Pauline.
Yeah, looks like.
Yeah, it might be. I saw one theory that was like, why is nobody suggesting that this could be a time travel story? Maybe Pauline gets displaced in time and then she gets brought back to where she needs to be or something. So it's probably an origin story, but there could be some weird. There might be another shoe to drop with that story premise that we don't know about. But it does give strong pre Mario Odyssey vibes. Watching the cinematic.
And the game itself feels like it just feels like it's the spiritual successor to Mario Odyssey. Everyone's like, oh, weird, you can put different outfits on? I'm like, you know what game you could do that in? Odyssey. Everyone's like, oh my god, you could get different color suspenders for DK and a dress for Pauline. I'm like, we just had this in Odyssey, not that long ago. And it was like, oh, you used gold to do it in this. I'm like, you used coins in the other. It's the same thing. That's not the thing that I was like, oh my god about. But, as someone who does pay attention to the lore of Donkey Kong, and I've been confused about it for years, David, because there's Donkey Kong, the original, that game, in the arcade and the Atari era, the NES era. That character, Donkey Kong, is supposed to be Cranky Kong.
Yes.
But if we go back to the arcade version of Donkey Kong, the damsel in distress, the original damsel in distress for Mario or Jumpman, was Pauline.
Right. Yeah.
And yet in this Direct, you see Donkey Kong, the DK, Pauline, Rambi, and Cranky Kong all talking to each other.
I mean, the part that always confused me is that the Donkey Kong in DK Country was Cranky Kong's grandson. I'm like, we skipped one there because remember Donkey Kong Jr.? Remember that game? Which Donkey Kong was that?
Who is Donkey Kong Jr.?
I have no idea.
Cranky Kong is not Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Jr. has to be Cranky Kong's son. But then, let's bring in the Mario movie. Cranky Kong says Donkey Kong is his son. In the Mario movie.
Maybe there's retconning going on then.
So is DK Jr. just not a real thing? Was that a figment of our imagination in the 80s? Or is DK Donkey Kong Jr.? And also, what does this mean about Pauline? Because yes, there is even if it's not time travel, Donovan.
Right.
And I know we've already gone off the rails here, but that's what this podcast is for, is talking about Donkey Kong lore. Well, if it is time travel involved, Pauline wouldn't know Cranky Kong yet, right?
No.
But Cranky Kong would know Pauline.
Yeah.
So there's your time travel paradox.
Yep.
Anyway.
I mean, there's a good chance that we all just care more about the Mario timeline than Nintendo does.
1,000,000,000%.
Well,
guaranteed.
But here's the thing. I go back to this Game Informer interview from like 2012 where Miyamoto said he views the Mario cast as actors in a play. That's why like Mario and Bowser can race in Mario Kart without hating each other, right?
Yeah.
So if we stick with that, maybe none of it matters at all. But I choose to be interested in the lore because I think it's fascinating.
I already said that. That's an interesting quote.
Yes, because that's you play Mario 3, or you play
it's like I think it's 3. It's like the stage play. Yeah, you got the curtains and all that.
And even Mario World, like I feel like he's made it like it was a story being told with those characters. And I think Mario World is probably one of the most story-driven games out of all of them. So yeah, I can't help but pay attention to Donkey Kong lore. But yeah, putting the story aside, really the headline is Odd Rock, actually Pauline. But Pauline seems to be a very cool character. Her power is her voice, and that she's an aspiring singer. The direct started with this beautiful song as DK is like falling to the ground. Like I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but they're expected to be 100 different songs in this game. I actually, when I first saw it, that direct, I was like, is this game gonna be a musical? 'Cause that would be really interesting, right? Because even in the direct, you saw these moments where Pauline was adding vocals to existing Donkey Kong / Mario music. And I'm like, this could get really interesting. It's like a new take on these songs. I did see a little Easter egg in the first Odd Rock reveal. You know the song that plays when DK comes out at the beginning of the arcade game, David, or the original 8-bit game? It's like da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Odd Rock's song, when DK picks Odd Rock up for the first time, is a slowed down version of that tune.
Oh.
And I'm like, there are going to be so many audio and musical Easter eggs in this game that, like, I'm fascinated to see where that goes. But to your point about it being like probably a predecessor or a prequel to Odyssey, Donovan, like that, there's that scene where it looked like almost like a New Donk City kind of setting, in the direct. So it does seem to reference that, and we know that Pauline is mayor of New Donk City. Like,
true.
We know that. So if there is going to be continuity between these two games at the very least, this could lead up to them, she wants to go to the surface, right? Like that's the whole plot of this game is that if you get to the core of the whatever planet they're on, you can be granted a wish, and she wants to go home or whatever. So it is kind of like a Wizard of Oz kind of a plot to it, right?
Yeah.
I do think that there's something incredibly charming about DK really just being in it for the bananas. Like, he still just kind of wants bananas at the end of the day. Like, I didn't see anything in the trailer that was like, DK is going to be this, like, super emotional character. But at the same time, like, I think it's a coming-of-age story for a young lady, and that's going to be... I think it's going to be cool. Like, it's a different story being told in this universe. And they're still staying true to a lot of their, characters, right? We saw Cranky Kong, Rambi's there. There's a later scene where you see DK and Pauline riding a Rambi, and who comes alongside them? It's Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong, David. From maybe their best side-scrolling game ever, Donkey Kong Country 2. But yeah, and I know 3, was also a game. But, yeah, I think it seems like there's going to be this great balance between, yes, this is a story about Pauline and DK, but also it's like the first opportunity I was over 25 years, or it's going to be 25 years or so since Donkey Kong 64. So like, there's a whole generation of maybe multiple generations of players who don't really know that style of a 3D Donkey Kong, but also like the Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie era as well. Like, the enemies in this game, they still look like the Rare enemies. They have the big googly eyes, and they're, they just have that style to them. Not just the enemies, though. The NPCs, like, there's this place where you cash in your banana chips. It's a literal banana chip shaped thing that is the cashier. There are points where you're talking to an arrow sign, like a personification of an arrow sign. It just seems like, yes, obviously Rare's not making this game, but the DNA of those Rare games appears to be in it, especially Conquer, Banjo, and DK64. Like, those 3D platformers and action games, if you want to call Conquer that, from that N64 era, they all seem present in, like, inspiring this Bonanza game, David. And I think that looks cool. They showed us how, like, her powers are gonna work. Like, DK just smashes shit, right? He punches forward, he punches down, he punches in the air, he can dive jump. When in doubt, you're just gonna hit shit as Donkey Kong. But Pauline's voice is her weapon, and she's able to take out enemies from further away. She's kind of like Atreus in God of War, right? With the bow and arrow, and Kratos is more hands-on. It's kind of like that. I'm jumping around a little, but like, I think one of the weirdest things they announced, and I think they announced a Switch 2 feature in the Direct, was that you can game share to the old Switch for co-op purposes.
That was something they had mentioned during, I think, the Switch 2 Direct, was that, like, there would be some games you could game share with the OG Switch. They just didn't name any, I think.
Okay. So this is the first time they showed it in action. They had mentioned it before. But I was just kind of like, what am I looking at here? Because you're not playing the single player game on your device, right? Like, when you're playing it with the Switch 1, you're playing co-op, right? So, yes. And the demo that they showed for co-op, it seemed like it was mouse-based gameplay if you're playing on the same system together, right? Or if you're playing on Switch 2 together. Like, you're controlling Pauline with a mouse while the first player controls DK with the controller. So, like, I guess my question is, what the hell exactly is going on here with game share across generations? I want to know what that experience is. But cool and completely random. Like, I was just like, that's weird. That's like a feature that I guess they glossed over at that April 2nd Direct. They didn't mention it at all at the preview event, like the thing that took place after the Direct on them. Like, there was no mention of it. There was no demonstration of it. There were no Switch 1s anywhere in that whole facility. So, like, it's just interesting. That's such a very weird thing to see.
It's a very weird and Nintendo thing specifically, I think, to do. Because, like, Donkey Kong Bonanza is not being released for the original Switch. Like, you cannot go to the eShop and buy it and download it on the Switch 1. But you can play it through local game share from somebody with the Switch 2. Which, what is that game going to look like on a Switch 1 screen?
Exactly.
Is it going to run poorly? Will it be all free and whatnot? Like,
like, it's going to run poorly. It's got to. Like, it's a Switch 1. But
I guess the idea is that people will play it through game share and it'll incentivize them to upgrade. Like, if you're a Switch 1, you're just holding on to that one. I guess the idea is you get a taste of a Switch 2 game and it's like, okay, I need the real thing, the full experience.
Yeah.
I look at it as twofold. Like, they're still supporting the Switch because there's, like, what, 150 million of them out there. But also, for those of us who kept the Switch, you can easily have a friend over and say, here's my Switch 1. Yeah. Let's play some Donkey Kong. Because that's, I mean, I've been wondering that. Like, I have my Switch OLED sitting around, And I'm wondering, like, I still have my Wii U, but there's a reason to keep that. There's certain games on Wii U that aren't on Switch. But I've been thinking, like, what am I going to do with my Switch One? This kind of incentivizes me to keep it because, my brother could come over and play, and I could just hand him my Switch One, and we could play some Donkey Kong.
I'm glad you brought up the Wii U, David. Because I love the Wii U. I will not hear these scoffs from Donovan, who didn't even have a Wii U.
The scoff was, I'm glad you brought the Wii, so I'm like, what is that a segue into?
Well,
like,
no, look, one of my favorite games on the Wii U, David, was Mario Maker. Yes. And I would argue that it was the best Mario Maker experience because you had a tangible canvas that you were able to make your levels on with a stylus, with the precision of a stylus. Having that screen in your hand while also seeing it on the television. I feel like this technology that they showed us with Game Share could allow for the original Switch to become a Wii U gamepad for Switch 2. Revolutionizing gameplay. Is that crazy talk? Do I sound like a crazy person rambling here? Or is there a possibility that might actually happen? Is the Switch 1 potentially an input device for the Switch 2?
I think that'd be cool if they were to do that. I feel like it would have made sense to announce that before it came out because I imagine a lot of people sold their Switch 1s to buy a Switch 2 at a discounted price. But they've got some weird interconnectivity thing going on there. So I don't know. Maybe they'll use stream your Switch 2 to your TV without docking it. Maybe you hold it in your hands and you just beam it up to the TV, and that way you get the best of both worlds.
I don't know about that because the dock is nothing without the Switch. Like this,
yeah.
The graphics processing and everything is in the hardware itself. So it seems like you're gonna have to dock your Switch too, but that is a Switch 1 that doesn't have software installed on it that's playing Donkey Kong Bonanza. Right? So it got my wheels spinning, and I'm like, what's to stop them from doing what I just said? But yeah, you're right, Don. And there's people who definitely sold their Switch 1 to buy the Switch 2. Like, it's like people who sell iPhones to buy their new iPhone. Like, that happens all the time. And that's why
GameStop specifically had a special promotion, or it was $175 off you could get on a Switch 2 if you traded in your OG.
Yeah. So I'll never trade in my OG Switch. But the OLED I might, although I like the OLED. It's still a very good product. But yeah, I have not touched my Switch 1.
That's something to think about. So technically, you could see what Donkey Kong Bonanza looks like on an OLED screen if you game share it to a Switch 1 OLED. And hypothetically, it'll probably, at least the colors will look better and more vibrant than they will on the Switch 2 handheld screen. That'll be interesting. Somebody will put that video up.
Yeah, I will. Because I have the ability to do this. But the other thing is, do I have to have 2 Nintendo Switch accounts to do this game share thing?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Will you be able to game share to your own account?
Yeah, otherwise, we'll just have to do it at the office, David. But, I think there's a way to test this. But I just thought that functionality was cool. It was a very interesting... It was a jam-packed direct, but that was one of those news bits where I was like, we haven't seen this. I guess you're right, Don. They had mentioned it, but we hadn't seen it. It wasn't demonstrated like that. And it just makes me wonder.
I just assumed that it would be for crush-in games, right? It'd be Mario Party Jamboree, stuff like that. I didn't think it would be switched to exclusive games going backwards across the generation line. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's it. I thought it was going to be for legacy stuff, but to do this with a brand new game, that's just interesting. And I think you're right. It's going to create some FOMO because you're going to be like, oh, I played it on my Switch 1 and it ran like ass. So now I'm going to buy. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza might move systems because it's
everybody knows DK.
Everyone, Donovan, your generation, young people, kids, 4-year-old kids know Donkey Kong from the movie. Mm-hmm. And then, us olds, we fucking love Donkey Kong. I'm just saying, I said it repeatedly on Shack Together like last year. I think Donkey Kong's their best IP, and they just ignore it. And this was during the 40th anniversary year. It's
all right. It's time to have an intervention with Asif here. Asif, why do you think that Donkey Kong is a better IP than Mario? I think it's a great IP, but their best? I don't know about that.
You don't have Mario without Donkey Kong.
That's fair. Although Donkey Kong hasn't been, like, Mario's still been... I think this game will make Donkey Kong relevant again.
I think so too, but I think Donkey Kong got a... Donkey Kong Country came to Super Nintendo World before any other IP. It went Mario and then Donkey Kong. It went Mario Kart Ride and then Donkey Kong Ride. Like, that's not a mistake. But also, like, I grew up in the 80s. Donkey Kong was like right after Pac-Man Fever. Here came Donkey Kong. And Donkey Kong was fucking everywhere in the 80s. Like, everywhere, David. And the IP has been exploited more than Mario in the past. There's been horrible TV shows made, animated series made out of Donkey Kong. Like, I'm just saying, like, it is the IP that they're like, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. Let's try this.
Yeah.
It's the game. Then I bring up Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. Like, two of the best SNES games. Maybe ever.
Yep.
And not to, like, I know Super Mario World's right up there, but like, I just think fine. Maybe he's not
original. It's always going to have that, like, that prestige of being the first.
Yeah.
And you know what it's kind of similar to, which I guess Donkey Kong will be the example because the example I'm about to give came afterwards, but it's like Shin Megami Tensei to Persona, where now Persona has kind of emerged as like the definitive series in that franchise. And now people don't even know that Persona is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei.
Yep.
If anything, they probably think it's the other way around. Where now, I'm sure if you ask a kid, like, they know Donkey Kong, but if you ask them where Donkey Kong's from, they'll say Mario games, not the other way around. So, it's one of those.
But also just, like, as a character, iconic. Like,
yeah,
everyone can picture Donkey Kong in their head. And he's wearing the tie, right? Like, I think maybe he's not their biggest. I think Donkey Kong might be the most undervalued IP.
I can get behind that.
Maybe that's the right way to describe it. But like, in my opinion, and clearly Nintendo agrees because they went with a Donkey Kong game instead of Mario Odyssey's successor, right? Like we're getting this. We don't know who's making it yet because Nintendo's super weird about that now. But
chatter about that this week or this past week.
Yeah, like, and I saw people speculating on Pauline's voice actress. Like, it's fine. But
we're not gonna know until that game comes out.
And Donovan, who cares? Like,
yeah.
We can all like fall over each other to get some tweet that gets 100,000 likes, and it's based on just pulling shit out of your ass, or you can just wait a month. And we'll know for sure. So, like, that's what I'm going to do. I know, crazy. But I guess that's my point, David. Is like, it feels like Nintendo is waking up to the fact that Donkey Kong is a really good, iconic video game IP. And
he can do things that Mario just can't. Right?
He's strong.
You're not going to have Mario smashing through the ground.
No. Like, I really, whenever they get the Ask Developer out for this, like, I feel like they're going to say... we came up with this destructible environment engine, right? Like, we started messing around with particle physics and destructible environments, and we realized this wouldn't be a fun Mario game. It wouldn't. But it would be a perfect DK game. And I think, like, you go back and hear how they landed on Tears of the Kingdom. It was the same thing. They built this amazing new architecture of Ultra Hand and these systems. And they said, what game franchise would fit with this? And I think that's what we're seeing here is they're like, you know what? Donkey Kong fits here. But also, like, kids know Donkey Kong now. But also my parents who are approaching their 80s, they know Donkey Kong. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that blue ocean that Nintendo's always going for. I feel like DK appeals to it not more than Mario, but maybe just as much. And, like, it is about time. The other thing going on here, and I know Nintendo would never say such a thing, but they were paying attention to Astro Bot. And the next 3D Mario game, it can't just be good. You know? Like, it has to be amazing. And I think it's going to take a while. I don't think we're getting one next year either. I think it's like 2-3 years away.
Yeah, I think 2027 is like the earliest.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we start hearing about it in 27. But it got me thinking. Well, we have Mario 40 coming up. And I think I texted you. Yeah. I think I may have just posted in our Slack too, but it's obvious we're going to get a Mario Odyssey Switch 2 edition.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The anniversary.
Yeah, that's just sitting there. They're also sitting on Galaxy 2. So there's a lot of Mario themed stuff. They might even do another. I could see another 3D All Stars.
Mm-hmm. Another 3D All Stars. They could bring back the first one, just put it back in the eShop. They updated it when Switch 2 came out, so they haven't forgotten about it. Yeah,
they did.
So I guess it would be very Nintendo to be like, hey, happy 40th Mario 3D All Stars is available to purchase for 90 days.
Yeah,
it out.
Something tells me that they don't have a brand new Mario game for Mario's anniversary. Just like last year, we didn't get a brand new Donkey Kong game for his 40th either. That's the other thing. Right. Their 40th anniversaries are separated by a year. So it's like, going back to my point, DK and Mario, they're combining these universes like forever. And they should be combined. Yeah. Give Donkey Kong more than 2 outfits and cart. Oh, world. But
now it seems almost like you wonder if that was they were giving themselves room, because it's Donkey Kong and Pauline specifically who only have one alternate costume in Kart World. And then you look at how much time they dedicated in the direct to showing you all their cool outfits in Bonanza, and it's like, oh, maybe as part of the first DLC you get a bunch of those Bonanza outfits in Kart World. That might be wishful thinking, but it would make sense to me.
Yeah, we could talk about that. Like, this game, not only does it have in-game cosmetics that you can grind for, it's got like a skill tree with skill points. And Donkey Kong has sonar for detecting bananas. Like, this all
you can upgrade, and it increases the range. It shows you a demo of detecting a banana crystal inside a bunch of rocks from a certain distance. Yeah.
Bananium.
Sorry, yes, Bananium. Yeah.
Dude, the puns are off the chart in this game. They're so good. Bananergy, Bananium crystals.
Banana chips was the currency.
Yeah, one of the currencies, because there's also gold nuggets. I'm here for it. The game is silly. It's like a silly, funny. Yeah, he's so damn expressive. I don't know. I'm very excited for this game. I guess my point about Mario is they don't want they understand how big of a follow up to Odyssey this next game is. They're not gonna ship a mediocre 3D Mario game. So it's this gives them more time to really figure out what the next Mario game is going to be. I'm sure they're already developing it, but I think Donkey Kong is the perfect IP to experiment with, and this is them pushing DK as a flagship character, David. That's all I'm saying. He got to ship in a launch year. Shipping this game in a launch year, I think it's a call to action to all Nintendo fans, because everyone knows Donkey Kong. Not everyone gives a fuck about Kirby, right? Or some of those second tier Star Fox or whatever like that. Those are not the IP that have this kind of cachet. I think it's really just Zelda, Donkey Kong, and and Mario. Those are I think those are the 3 most popular, and we got a movie coming for Zelda. I think that's going to be what we get from them for the next few years. Metroid has never been as big as those other 3.
I want a live action Metroid movie so bad.
Ridley Scott.
That would be great.
Give us a horror movie Metroid would be awesome. What they tried to do with Doom.
Samus and Ridley.
What they tried to do with Doom, David, but without The Rock and with a script, maybe.
Oh, man. Yeah, there were two things from the Donkey Kong Direct I want to mention before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
One, to keep with the Mario parallels, obviously in Mario Wonder, he could turn into an elephant. That was like one of the big additions in that game. And then in
Oh,
Donkey Kong Bonanza, he can turn into, we saw a zebra form.
Bonanza.
Yeah, there's like Bonanza mode, where he's like this huge, stronger ape, but we saw a zebra form, and then we saw an ostrich form where he's dropping like egg bombs from the air. So
Did you see like the very large ostrich elder god in that scene, Donovan?
yes,
He's
very
wearing high
strong.
tops,
Yeah,
which is a reference, David, to Donkey Kong Country. Because the ostrich
oh,
was
Yeah.
wearing high tops in that. I can't remember the name of the ostrich from DKC, but I'm pretty sure that ostrich that's sitting on the throne with those Jordans on, I think it's the same
Yeah.
ostrich. Or it's a reference to it at the very least. But yeah, the Bonanza powers is what you're referring to. You can become
Yeah.
a zebra who can run on water.
Necky.
You can
That's
be
the ostrich's name.
yeah,
Necky.
Necky. Thank you. Of course, that's
It
the
just
name of it.
came to me. Just came to me.
That's awesome. But yeah, like a flying ostrich with banana wings. I'm here for it.
yeah.
Super Saiyan Donkey Kong, basically. It's called Kong Bonanza. But we understand what Bonanza means now. And all that's unlocked by the power of Pauline's voice. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Those power-ups are ephemeral, right? They're like, I don't know how long they have like a cooldown and everything. But yeah, that stuff looks awesome.
Yeah, it was that, and then the other thing, which this it kind of surprised me. I don't think anyone was expecting a feature like this. Was the last thing they showed. It's the like sculpting feature where you can like they give you a big rock, and you can just it's like you just can chisel away and carve it into shapes, and then you paint it. And they gave examples where they made like the Mario 64 model of the head, or someone that was like an actual statue. Um, Obviously, I immediately thought I'm like you're giving people 3D objects to customize. This is going to get interesting really fast, but I
It's
thought that was
called
a really cool looking feature.
it's called DK Artist, and it
Yeah.
is a retro reference to the start screen for Mario 64. Right, David? Like they
Yeah.
even showed a Mario face in that video, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's very much a tip of the cap to Mario 64's start screen. And that's what I'm saying here is there's this interconnective tissue between Donkey Kong and Mario's IP now, and I think this game is gonna really amp that up, which is cool. But at the same time, it is just another Donkey Kong game, and it is really about him finding more bananas, which that's what it needs to be. Like, yeah, I'm not mad about any of this. I'm just saying, like, at its core, Donkey Kong games, except for Mario versus Donkey Kong, which is about Donkey Kong stealing toys for some reason. But all the DK games are DK loves bananas. Someone took DK's bananas. DK goes gets those bananas back. That's every Donkey Kong game ever. So the addition of Pauline is cool. Because, like, that's a real story that they're going to have play out. And I have this feeling that this is, like, it's going to be one of the best soundtracks we've heard in a Nintendo game maybe ever. Like,
It's gonna have to be great to follow Mario Kart World soundtrack, honestly.
yes, but, like, I also think about, like, Donovan, you said the minute Jump Up Superstar hit the Nintendo Music app, that was the first song you played, right?
Yep.
Well, what if we get a whole game full of songs inspired by that song? Like, this could be a delightful soundtrack.
That's why I'm excited. Whatever that final cutscene they showed, where she's singing again and they're like descending,
They're
further
falling
into,
to
like,
the
four
ground.
planets.
Yeah.
Or I was like, there could be like multiple hits in this game. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And, like, ask Disney how important it is to have a song attached to your title.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what that did for Frozen, right? What it did for what the hell's that? The movie The Rock's in Moana, right? Like,
Yeah.
Disney movies, I think, have done that. I think it's cool to see this Nintendo game feel like a Disney movie. Like, I referred to Wreck-It Ralph when I played it in April. Like, the game truly does feel like Wreck-It Ralph meets whatever, Deep Rock Galactic, like whatever destructible environment game. I think, David, you had a thread about the destructible environment in the chatty, and like you brought up Red Faction, and I was like, yes, Red Faction's a perfect example of that. Red Faction, I didn't even enjoy the gameplay. I just liked destroying the environments, and like what the emergent gameplay that came out of that, I thought was more interesting than the shooter aspect.
It's just the most obvious game mechanic in the world, right? Like when I see a door and I have a rocket launcher, why can't I just blow a hole through the door? And I feel like Donkey Kong's going to take advantage of that. Like, oh, I can't get around this. I'm just going to smash my way through it. Mm-hmm. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like, platformers are all, somewhat puzzle based. It doesn't feel like this is going to have many puzzles. This is going to be like, when in doubt, I'm going to punch my way through this. Yeah, I want to kind of glance at our YouTube channel just real quick, so in case there was some other stuff they announced or showed off that we might want to call out. Challenge courses. Those look really cool. Like inside of the ruins, David, there's like side-scrolling levels that you have like time limits to beat and stuff. Like all that looks really cool. We kind of glossed over it, but yeah, 2-player co-op is a thing. The photo mode looks really cool. Do we really think K. Rool's not in this game?
I think it would be cool if they have him in. What I love is how he changes his form depending on the theme of the game. Like he was king, then captain, and then like a mad scientist. And I think it'd be cool to have him in this game.
I'm wondering, and I'm in a Donkey Kong Discord, and I somehow am part of Donkey Kong Twitter. I don't know how it happened. It could just be that I always post that same GIF of DK going, whoop, but like I don't know. I love DK. There's a theory among the DK fans that Void Kong, the leader of the Void Company, is actually K. Rool in a different form. Because the scene where they introduce Void Kong, he does this weird thing with his eye, which K. Rool is known for having a weird, squinty kind of eye. So people are drawing conclusions from that. But yeah, people want K. Rool. And it's like, I don't know if there's pirates in this game. Who knows exactly how that would work. We talked about Odd Rock being... That's literally just Nintendo building a preview embargo into their game. Like, I don't see any other reason for it.
I've seen games do that in the past. Like I remember when Resident Evil 5 was announced, they only showed Chris. And then it wasn't until like a few months later where they said, oh yeah, here's another character, Sheva. They kind of roll out information.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I heard I think you mentioned it last week. RE5 runs better on Switch 2 than Switch 1.
It does. Yeah.
It got a graphical update, it looks like, and I think the frame rate's better. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's basically it. We talked about the skill tree, all the puns. I think this game's going to have a ton of memes, because Donkey Kong is just very memeable and silly looking. But yeah. Well, anything else? Any other thoughts on Donkey Kong before we move on? We got like less than a month till it comes out.
July 17th, yeah.
That'll be cool.
Looking forward to it.
Do you think they're going to send out review units for the game?
I think so. I think they'll send out code.
Are they above the law now? Do they not need us anymore?
I think the launch window was a special case. I don't think they're done getting like game reviews out.
Yeah, the launch with a live service game and day one patch, like I understand all that. But they were awfully successful at selling their products without the media reviewing it at all. So I wonder if Nintendo has learned some sort of horrible lesson from that. Not wishful thinking, but yeah, we'll see. And yeah, whenever it comes out, we'll be talking about it. I'm just trying to get through Kart World. This is probably a natural transition to our next topic, but yeah, I want to talk about Kart World here. I have about like 90 P-switches completed. They're great. They're varying levels of difficulty, but I'm really enjoying the challenges. And it's definitely it has that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater like quality to it, where I can pick up the game and play it for a few minutes and put it down, or I can pick it up. Last night I was on the phone with my brother, we were just chatting, and I found like 8 P-switches while talking to him. Like it's just a game that you can kind of get lost in. I'm really enjoying free roam. I do want to mention something. Like, I brought it up last week as a criticism about this game, how it's kind of lacking when it comes to the stat keeping and the competitive nature of a racing game. Time Trials addresses this. There are online leaderboards on Time Trials, and you can also race against other people's ghosts. And I think there was features like this in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as well. But from what I'm seeing, the speedrunning community and the racing game community that's in Kart World, they're attacking Time Trials. That's the mode that they're living in.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant attacking and criticizing it. You just attacking and that's what they're
playing. No, like that's their vibe.
Yeah,
like that's like where they're going to get that satisfaction that I was talking about, where you want to feel like you're improving. What I think's interesting about it is in Time Trials, there are no CPUs and there are no weapons. You are given 3 mushrooms and that's it. So it is kind of more like a racing game than any other mode in the game. So it kind of makes sense why that would be the place where they want you to look at your stats. So it was a criticism from me last week. So I went deeper into the game, and this is why I haven't posted my review yet. I'm still learning things about this game, and I'm seeing how the community's interacting with it too. But yeah, Time Trials addresses one of my major criticisms. It still doesn't mean that they shouldn't give us that information in the post-Grand Prix screen or the post-Knockout Tour screen. Like, it's not hard. They have the data. But I do think it was a deliberate point of emphasis on the part of Nintendo to not make this game competitive. But at the same time, all of the really, like, hyper-competitive people in the scene, they are living in Time Trials mode.
My Twitter algorithm has gotten to a good place where I can't scroll like 15 tweets without seeing a clip of somebody's like record on a Mario Kart World track.
Yeah.
And just watching them like jump off course onto a rail to go further off course in the wall grind to like bounce off of like a series of light poles without touching the ground and going across. I'm watching like I didn't know you could do half the stuff on these tracks. That stuff is so impressive to me.
I watch those videos all the time, and yeah, I follow Bear on Twitter, and he's a maniac. There's some YouTube Shorts guy who's been posting a lot of these shortcuts too. Yeah, like I said, there's going to be this massive gulf in skill. There's going to be people who can grind, they're like way up here, and who know how to wall ride, and then there's that like top 1% who are doing these crazy glitches. But I think there's going to be like 80% of players that can't even grind or don't do it consistently at all. And that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. The game doesn't have a ranked mode, so I don't exactly know how they're putting people together. But yeah, it's interesting to see how different people are. The game is resonating with different people through different modes. So I've seen some people who are like addicted to Knockout Tour, like that's their vibe, right? And it is chaos. Like Knockout Tour is chaos, but it's fun chaos. There's some people who are fixated on Grand Prix, right? I think the free roam mode is the best feature in the game. It's why I keep coming back to it. It's why I'm playing it still. Because, I already played all the Grand Prix. I already raced all the races. I'm like, what's keeping me coming back to this game right now is the open world. And just finding stuff. So I think that's... Yeah. I thought that... I just wanted to bring up the time trial aspect of things. And also in free roam, like... I'm practicing those shortcuts that you're talking about, Dom. Like, I'll see someone post that on Twitter or on YouTube Shorts or wherever, and I'll be like, huh, can I do that? And the answer most of the time is no, but sometimes I can. Or, like, I learn one aspect of it, and I apply that to something. But I do think the P-Switch missions are like a pseudo-tutorial for getting better at those things. Because it's...
Yeah.
But once again, there's a very wide gulf in difficulty. Like, some P-Switch missions are 2 seconds, and they're easy. And others are, like, super involved and require all of these gameplay mechanics to be used. So I think it's interesting watching how this game continues to evolve, because the people who are playing this and streaming this, they're, you know, they like being rewarded in games that test your skills. And David, you mentioned it the first time we talked about it. Like, this game has a huge, huge ceiling for what you can do. And I don't even think the best players in the world have reached their final form yet. So it's an exciting time, Donovan. That's why I think it is all over social media these days. Like, you just see new shortcut, new record. It's getting competitive between people. I know Video Game Donkey, he's also really trying to get some of these world records and the time trials. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch how this evolves. I'm curious, like, what is there an esport here?
I mean, I could see one, especially out of time trials, because I think, you know, we've said this before, but this game is going to last the entire life cycle of the Switch 2. There's going to be DLC. They could add new characters. They could even add new mechanics. I feel like this is going to be a constantly evolving meta, to the point where nobody's going to learn it fully until the Switch 2 is done. And I could see an esport coming out of it, especially, like I said, in time trials.
Yeah, or, you know, Nintendo... I mean, they have that Nintendo Versus account, right? That was like their esports branding. They weren't at PAX last year, I don't think, but like the years that they have been at PAX in recent history, they've done a Splatoon tournament and they've done a kart tournament. I think they've even done Smash tournaments. But yeah, I'm interested because on the one hand, competition is not a point of emphasis in this game at all. But on the other hand, it is a freaking racing game, which is inherently competitive. So where is this going to fall? What will the rules be for competitive Mario Kart? I think that would be interesting to know as well. But yeah, I'm still really very much enjoying the game. It has not, like, the joy that I feel playing it has not worn off yet. And, like, what I'm really starting to notice about the P-Switch missions is, like, when you're done, you know, a lot of the time, like, you're up in the air and you kind of glide somewhere, or, like, it drops you off in interesting places. So, like, last night I did this one. I can't remember. I must have been Koopa Beach or whatever that thing is. It's kind of south in the middle. And I, like, ended this P-Switch mission, and I was on the beach, right? And the waves are crashing. And in the distance is DK Spaceport. And I was just like, what a beautiful setting. Just where I was. I just kind of left. This is a game that I just leave on my screen even when I'm not playing it. Because the music is outstanding, Donovan. But also, like, it's like a screensaver. It's just this beautiful, like, cool looking area. The waves are crashing, so it's kind of got some, like, sound therapy going on to it too. But yeah, like, I find myself leaving that game on the pause menu or wherever. Yes, because of the music, but also because, like, the settings are cool. And, like, so many open world games, if you just stand somewhere long enough, you're gonna get killed or something stupid will happen, right? You get hit by lightning in Zelda games. This year, I was just a cow hanging on the beach, and it looked cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying Free Roam a lot. I think that's what's gonna color my opinion of the game when I finally review it. With respects to the timing of my review of that game, I think I will review that game before Donkey Kong comes out, because at that point we're gonna all have to shift to Donkey Kong. I'm not gonna review the Switch 2 system until after I've played Donkey Kong, because I think it's really gonna be the one that showcases performance on the Switch 2 more than even Kart World does. Because Kart World's this cross-generational game where it was being developed for Switch 1 and then ended up coming out on Switch 2. Whereas Donkey Kong Bonanza was definitely built from the ground up for Switch 2. So I want to see what that can do before I review it hardware-wise, but I do think that I'm getting closer to... I want to do as many P-Switch missions as I can before I am like, here's my review. But the fact that I'm still, 3 weeks in, and I'm still playing the open world, anyone who's like, there's not enough game in this game to justify the price, that's an opinion. You can always make that argument. But there's 394 of these P-Switch missions. That's an awful lot of content. Like, that's all I'm saying. That seems like, oh, there's only 900 Korok seeds in Zelda. It's like, yeah. Try to get one of them in Tears. I don't know, Dom, have you built anything cool yet in Tears of the Kingdom?
Not so much. I've mainly been trying to get back on track with the story stuff. I think that during my time with it on Switch 1, I spent a lot of time just running around and discovering and just kind of like dabbling with story missions when I happened to be in the area for them. But I've been trying to lock back in and focus on those. So I've been doing like the Dragon Tier stuff.
Which
lately.
have you done? I know they're not really dungeons. Have you which temples have you done, if any?
I have the air one. I forget the name of the little bird dude that follows you around.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that one. Yeah, the one.
What's his name?
That might be... I might have a second one. I might have done the water one first. I might have two. I know I have not done the fire one or the volcano one. I think that's where I'm going to go next.
His name is Tulin.
That's right. Yeah,
He's the Rita warrior and the Sage of the Wind.
Yeah,
yeah.
Great.
The water one, Donovan, you have to unlock that waterfall that you go all the way up to the Sky Island with.
Yeah, I've done that one.
I love that moment. That's one of those like, wow, this is a big video game moments, because you're like, you finally got the tunic so you can swim up waterfalls, and then you unlock this massive waterfall. There's another waterfall that leads you to a Sky Island in that game, Donovan. I don't know if you've encountered it.
Maybe not, unless I did it 2 years ago on Switch 1 and don't remember. I don't think I have.
No, probably not. But it's as you kind of like get more stamina and get more battery power, you're gonna find yourself in a situation where there's another one of those. I love the Fire Temple, so I think it's.
I'll do that one soon.
And I think that's the kind of temple that's gonna showcase that Switch 2 edition better, because frame rates were an issue down there with all the mine carts and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that level. But I also think the Lightning Temple might be the most dungeon-like of those four temples. Definitely not more than 4 temples in that game.
Right.
Definitely 4 sages. Definitely not 5 sages.
Yeah, I've been
definitely not the coolest sage as being this hidden last one. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. I love it. I love that game. I can't wait to get back to it.
I think it's awesome.
I do want to go back to it. I feel bad that I haven't. I actually haven't fired up Tears of the Kingdom on my Switch 2 yet. I haven't fired up many things. It's literally a Mario Kart machine.
You got to at least do it just to run around in circles for 20 seconds and look at those upgrades.
Well, I did that.
It's quite gorgeous.
I did that at the preview event, Donovan. So I feel like that's
true.
I'll get back to it. And also, I have I think it's 250 hours in that game. So other people on staff can play it more than me. You guys can catch up, and then we'll all get back together. I'm staring at that Breath of the Wild logo on my Switch 2 as well, David, because I read your impressions piece, and I want to take on the Trial of the Sword.
Yeah, I do too.
That's my white whale in that game, is to to beat the Trial of the Sword. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the new frame rate. That's going to be something I have to stream because you guys will enjoy watching me fail. Yeah, 4 weeks. I haven't played F-Zero 99 in 4 weeks, guys. This is getting bad.
Damn.
This is now.
Crazy.
I might have to do something about it. This is getting ridiculous. But yeah, I'm reviewing Cart World, and I feel like once I'm done with the Cart World review, I'll still play Cart World for the next 8 years, like Donovan said. But I want a more pure racing game experience. And yeah, there's also a fast. I can't remember what they're calling it. Shinen made another F-Zero like for Switch 2. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I don't remember the name. I did see that though on the eShop. Yeah.
Shinen Fast Switch 2. Fast Fusion.
Right.
This is now the third Nintendo console that they have launched an F-Zero like on. Like, they did it on Switch 1 with Fast RMX, and then they did it on Wii U, I think. So this is their third time doing this. I don't know, Nintendo. Maybe take the hint. People want an F-Zero like. We actually showcased an F-Zero like at our indie showcase, Star Racer. That's more like the 16-bit style, but that looks really cool too. But yeah, I was just curious how you were doing on your tiers. I don't know. Did you guys have anything else you want to bring up about Cart World? Or
I had something Cart World adjacent.
Sure.
So I got into mapping the GL and GR buttons on the Pro Controller. And the first game I tried that with, I wanted to try accelerating with GR, which kind of feels like a trigger where it's positioned, almost like the N64's Z button.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really gotten into using that. I use GL for run in a lot of games like Animal Crossing, Doom. It just feels natural as a sprint button, and then GR is menu, shoot, whatever other function I want to use. I'm really coming to depend on those grips. Yeah, they feel good. The placement is perfect. I don't accidentally press it, which you wonder if you would because you're holding those grips, but I haven't had that problem yet, and I'm just really liking those extra buttons.
It's a great controller.
Mm-hmm. I had to charge mine for the first time.
Really?
But it was like last Friday, which is a little over 2 weeks since the system launched.
I haven't charged mine yet.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. But
yeah,
we're in our third episode of this podcast. Still haven't charged my Switch Pro controller. And I bought 2 extras because I was worried that I would need them to rotate. Oh, I did see one in stock at Meijer. And actually, just for people who are still looking for Switch 2 out there, I know that GameStop had some bundles this week, and
Best Buy went back up today.
Yeah, Best Buy has some in stock. So I don't know if you saw, there was a story about almost 3,000 Switches got stolen from a delivery in Colorado this weekend. So yeah, like it was over $1 million worth of Switch 2s were stolen. Yeah. So yeah, just don't buy things on the black market. Just be patient. Go in store. Don't get screwed over. Don't feed these scalpers and these thieves by buying things on eBay. Although I understand people who are impatient want the instant gratification, but I think Nintendo's doing their best to get these out there in the world. And yeah, Best Buy has. I don't think there's a bundle. GameStop's doing that thing where you have to buy a bundle. But yeah, I did see the Pro Controller at Meijer. I was over at Meijer this weekend, and I did see the Pro Controller was in stock, David. They had one. And then, yeah, Donovan, you gave me the heads up last week that GameStop had the all-in-one carrying case, the Nintendo official one. Yep. So I bought that. But literally, I bought that the day that I got my second dock, David. So we will have an additional dock at the office now.
Nice.
Maybe that'll be like the one that you use for your TV there, and then I'll just keep bringing mine over because we're gonna have 2 Switches there, 2 Switch 2s when we're streaming anyway. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm hit or miss with grip controllers, David. Like I see the utility of them, but most of the time I don't use them. But I like that they're an option. But like I don't know, running in Animal Crossing, was that holding down the A button or
B button?
B button. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that being more comfortable just to use your grip for that.
Yeah, so like now I'm running with GL and then I'm picking stuff up like fruit with Y. And it just feels right to kind of divide functionality between your two hands. It just feels good.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because you're replacing a face button with a grip on a separate hand, a separate finger. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Also, just in general, the button mapping on Switch 2 is amazing. Compared, like, Switch 1 button mapping was system-wide. So, like, if you had one game, F-Zero X, where, like, you needed a Z button, for instance, right? Like, and it wasn't mapping properly, you would map your whole system to behave that way. And it would ruin every other game. So at least they have, like, game-specific button mapping now. It's one of those, like, finally features. But it also goes back to what I was saying last week. This thing is more like a PC than any other Nintendo device ever.
Definitely.
And that's a good thing. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of other things I played. Because, yeah, I'm just kind of obsessed with Mario Kart still.
Yeah,
I did see just more people are talking about games that run surprisingly well on Switch 1 games that are coming over to Switch 2. So still seeing stuff like that. A lot of games that are like cheap and on sale.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be this... I didn't want to bring this up. There was this story... it was like several analysts were reporting last week that third-party software is not selling that well on Switch 2.
Oh, all right, I saw that.
Now, these are retail analysts who are only looking at physical software sales, right? And the narrative out there, among the very reasonable gamer discourse, is that it's because of the game key cards, that these are not real physical media. People are put off by that. No. It's that these games came out years ago. Like, it's anyone who wanted to buy Civ 7 earlier this year probably bought it for PC, right? And now it's on Switch. Street Fighter 6 has been out for years. And now it's on Switch. And it's like, FGC folks still don't have a lot of confidence in Nintendo Online, right? For good reason. But also, like, it has crossplay, so it's not the end of the world if, like, you want to play with someone else in the Street Fighter network. But, like, it's old. It's not a new game. Cyberpunk's 5 years old. And it is the only real cartridge, and by the way, it's the best-selling third-party software at launch.
It's also like the technical showcase, right? Where it's like Cyberpunk on a Switch. Like, you want to buy it just to, like, fire it up and see if it's real, almost.
Yeah. So it's sold well physically. But, like, I think there's two things happening here. One, people are buying games digitally on their Switch 2. And two, yeah, these games are old. Like, I want to see, like, Borderlands 4. How does that perform when it launches simultaneously on all these platforms, right? Like,
sure.
I want to see a new game, a new third-party title, simultaneously ship on the Switch 2. And then let's see how it performs, right? Like, it's so early to be making these declarations, right? Which is what the internet does. The internet's just like, oh, well, we don't have any information. Let's just go. My whole thing is like, these companies are very transparent. Capcom will tell you, here's how many units we shipped, right? CD Projekt will tell you, here's how many units we shipped. Nintendo will tell you software numbers, attach rate numbers. So it's like, we could either just be patient and actually let the data come in, or we can all try to run and get all the engagement on Twitter with barely any facts. And that's what I'm seeing on the internet right now, is a lot of people taking one data point, which, look, Matt DiPascala and Daniel Ahmed, they do great work. I'm not denigrating what they do at all. I'm just saying it's only part of the picture. Because Switch 2, I think, is largely going to become a digital, I think mainly a digital device. It's not going to be, I don't think people are going to buy as many cartridges for Switch 2. I think that's a secular thing. You look at EA, it's 80% of their software revenue is digital now at EA. They began that process ahead of Nintendo, so they're kind of first to that. I think at Nintendo, it's right around 50% of software sales are digital versus physical. That number is going to flip in this generation, in my opinion. So I guess all I'm saying is, yeah, interesting data point, but the conclusions being drawn are absurd.
I think what people have to keep in mind is this was the same case with the Switch 1. We had the same report in 2017 for the Switch 1. It was, for third parties, it was Super Bomberman R was the one game that was selling pretty well at launch for Switch 1 because it was new. It was made by a third party for the Switch. Everything else was ports, and it's people have bought and played these games, and a lot of people don't want to replay them on new hardware. And it's well, we already knew people buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games. They buy a Switch to play Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Pokemon, Metroid, all that stuff. So it didn't seem very surprising to me.
No,
and also, I can't think of a console, maybe since the Xbox 360, although I think it had some, but I can't think of a console in the last few generations that did not launch with ports. Maybe one or two exclusives, but there were ports with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how things are now. The publishers need to get as much money as possible out of each game, and they do that by re-releasing them.
The other thing going on, and we were kind of hinting at this last week, we weren't sure, but yeah, dev kits are not easy to come by right now for the Switch 2. So they handpicked some developers to have
many out.
They handpicked, Deltarune, right? Toby Fox had a dev kit. But very few indies still have access to the Switch 2 dev kit. And I don't think Microsoft has many either. So it's
the Tony Hawk team had one.
One, maybe. But yeah. That's one right there, Donovan, that'll simultaneously ship, right? And
yeah.
I think that's one that we can keep an eye on for performance and comparing it side by side to these other systems and these other platforms. But I think that's, I think it's just it's a reach to be oh, third party software is going to sell poorly on this thing. It's no. The other thing going on right now is there's only, and I say only, but there's 150 million Switches out there. There's somewhere around 4 million Switch 2s out there. And all of those people, well, 4 out of 5 of those people bought Mario Kart World. Right? So, it's a Mario Kart World device right now. And then later in the next month, it might become a Donkey Kong machine. And then by the fall, we're going to have simultaneously shipped third parties that you can actually look at.
There's a big AAA third-party game also that's shipping on Switch simultaneously this summer, actually, called Madden NFL 26. Which, you know what? There's an interesting angle to this. This is the first Madden that's skipping the PS4, Xbox One generation. It's only going to be Series X, PS5, and Switch 2. So I'm curious to see how that does on Switch 2. I don't think it'll be an insignificant number. And this is the one where they've done the physical overhauls and stuff. That's why they're skipping those old consoles. So I don't know. I think we might have to kick the tires on that one.
Oh,
I don't wanna.
You deflated, Asif.
I just don't wanna. It's fine. I play Madden once a year for half a week. That's it. That's all I have to say about it. I think portable Madden is cool, and I'll throw this out here. I liked Madden for the Wii.
Portable Madden could be cool. I mean, that's going to be like a unique to Switch 2 experience because it's not going to be on PC, so you won't have it on like Steam Deck or the Lenovo Legion Go or anything. It'll just be a Switch thing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we got to wait and see how it performs in the thing. It could be a nightmare, but if it's good, then that would be kind of cool. If I can play a career mode game on a plane or at like a bus station, you could very well catch me doing that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Why not college football?
A good question. It's a good question. I mean, if anything, I think it's interesting because it kind of tells you, or at least signals at least a little bit, how EA looks at those franchises and that Madden's still its flagship football game, first and foremost. So,
because we haven't had a college football on a Nintendo system, I think, since like GameCube. Like, literally since GameCube, I think. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember if NCAA made it to the Wii. It definitely wasn't on the Wii U. But yeah, fine, Donovan. Yeah, it's coming out. Madden's gonna simultaneously ship, but like that community, man, they're all about Xbox and
that's a
PlayStation.
It's a home console franchise first and foremost. But yeah, it'll be worth taking a look at.
It's gonna sell more than 0 copies, and EA definitely did the cost-benefit analysis of developing for Switch 2 versus what they can make, the addressable market, and all that stuff. So the other thing going on here is Doug Bowser used to work for EA, and I've been like, hey, Doug, why haven't you repaired this relationship yet? Because like all you got was FIFA from Xbox 360 era for like the last generation, but now it's like, yeah, maybe we should be getting Kingdom Hearts over here. And like, I don't know, all these other games that like have I know EA maybe published that, but I don't know, like just all the sports games should be on Switch. All of them. So yeah, I guess Madden being there is a good thing. But yeah, like, I was thinking more like BL4, like Borderlands 4 is a big third-party launch that's going to be on Switch too. But even something like Split Fiction, Donovan, like the people who bought Split Fiction, they already bought it. They bought it for PlayStation 5, and they bought it for Xbox, and they bought it for PC. And then it comes out like 3 months later or 4 months later on Switch. I'm not surprised it didn't sell that well yet. Like, it's a combo of there's not a lot of systems out there, and the people who have those systems are buying Nintendo first-party titles. And then on top of that, all of their fucking games are running better. So people are just going back and playing games they already own. It's the biggest value proposition of the Switch 2, in my opinion, is that almost all your games are running better in some way, shape, or form. Like,
I agree.
That's a huge update, and it means like a lot to the consumer. Like, people are all talking about the value that Nintendo's bringing. Being able to play most of my games from the jump, it's the one-time benefit that the Switch 2 has from the Switch 1 that won't really... This will become diminishing returns going forward for them. But this time, it made all the sense in the world. You have 100 million Nintendo accounts out there that all have games that they own on Switch 1 that now run better on Switch 2. So it's like, as a fan or as someone who was a devout Switch 1 owner, there's way too much shit that I can still check out that I already own. Like, there's just too much stuff going on right now where it's like, their first party lineup was good. Like, I'd say their first party launch lineup was good. You picked Mario Kart World as your flagship launch title. That's smart. And then you come back with Breath of the Wild and Tears Enhanced. That's really smart because, you know, like we saw it in the chatty, David. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to wait to play Tears of the Kingdom for the Switch Pro, right? That was like a common narrative. Hell, Donovan, you're going through it right now. Like, you played Tears enough to assess it in 2023, but
I did a good 100 hours before I ended up moving on to other things, but yeah.
But like now you're coming back and you're like, wow, I'm sticking around for this because it runs great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, like, I think that's the other thing going on right now that's affecting third-party software sales. But if we do get to parity, like release date parity, that's when you can really start assessing, is Switch 2 going to be a threat to these other third-party platforms? We don't know yet. Because it's just not... You can't be like, oh, this this port of Street Fighter didn't sell well. It's like, okay. The other thing, I'm waiting for enhanced games. What are you doing? Tetris Effect's just sitting there. Do something, please.
Yeah.
I know they're working on Luminous right now, but a Switch 2 enhanced version of Tetris Effect seems like a good idea. Yeah, I don't know. And then Nintendo announced that Splatoon update too. So like, there's like so many people own these games already that it's just.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see people coming back to existing Nintendo games that they already own because they just bought a $500 or $450 system, right? Like, you might not have extra dough lying around to pay 60 or 70 for whatever third-party title that has already been out. But yeah, Don, I like your point earlier, though, that the same headlines were being written in 2017. And that didn't stop anyone from releasing games on Switch. And then you had these huge successes like Celeste on Switch, or, you know, these indie games that exploded on the Switch 1. I think you're going to see that happen again here. So yeah, I thought it was interesting how fast the media was to jump on that narrative. I'm like, you know, we could all just wait until the companies tell us their results. Like, is that, do I sound crazy saying that? Like,
I don't think so, but
we live in very pessimistic times. People are very excited to latch on to negative leaning information, so
yeah, and Nintendo's always held to a double standard, you know? Like, people are always looking for a reason to kind of tear Nintendo down a little bit. I don't know why. Even if given how successful the Switch 2 has been so far in just 2 weeks, there's really only positive news to talk about, in my opinion, but some people have to find a sticking point.
So, look, this is like me taking off gamer hat, putting on investor hat. It reminds me of Apple in the iPod days, and even the early iPhone days. How many think pieces were there that, oh, this is going to be the iPod killer? This is the last iPod that's going to sell. You know, like, everyone who missed out on the success of Apple in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? They were just they were like, oh, it's over. This is still the company that will never gain market share in PC. Like, the narrative around Apple in the early 2000s was one of, it's a fad. It's going to fail. And the Microsoft fanboys, oddly enough, the same people talking shit about Switch 2, we're all saying Apple is doomed. Apple's going to fail. This is all a fad. And then right when iPod was falling off, they came out with iPhone, and the rest is history. It reminds me of that. Nintendo hit $100 billion market cap like last week or whatever. It's the largest the company's ever been. It's the most successful they've ever been. They have $11 billion of cash. You know, they're not the little guy anymore. So they have this giant target on their back. But it's not like this is unique to this generation, David. You're right. Hating Nintendo has been a go-to move for a lot of content creators for a long time because it gets clicks or it gets views. But they all look really fucking stupid right now because everyone's like, oh, Mario Kart World's not going to sell. I've seen, because once again, boy howdy, do I see it in the comments of our vertical videos. Look, people want to keep talking about how it's not worth $80, but over 3 million people have probably bought this game already, either indirectly through the bundle or actually buying the game for $80. People have been buying Kart World. But yeah, this negativity around Nintendo, it reminds me of Apple in the early 2000s, and not present day, but Tesla 12 years ago, 10 years ago. Go back and look at articles being written about the Model S and how it was going to fail, right? And like, people like to be contrarian, David, right? But I'll tell you what was the time to be contrarian about Nintendo. 2013 through 2016, when every single games journalist except for this guy said they're doomed. They should be a third-party software developer. They should make iPhone games. They should give up on being first-party. They should give up on making Nintendo hardware. That was the narrative during the 3DS, Wii U era into that gulf before the Switch. These same jaboofers are the ones talking shit about Switch 2 today.
I mean, like you said, it's contrarian mentality, right? It's like, once a thing gets big enough and popular enough, it's almost becomes cool or like in vogue to be like, I actually don't like this thing, or I actually think it's not cool. We see it in games, we see it in movies and TV, we see it in sports. Wherever there's a dynasty, people can't wait for it to end or be the ones to dismantle it. I think a lot of that's at play here. We're like, yeah,
but the time
the Wii U, they were the underdog.
The time
they're the underdog then, though, during that period. So people, I think a lot of people didn't care to rag on them, but now that they've come back now to being the biggest successful thing, people are like, oh, okay, well,
but
I don't care about this.
You're nailing my point for me, Donovan. Let's just say someone had a couple of bucks in 2015, and they bought some Nintendo stock. Well, they're up a fuck ton right now. What do you gain from hating on Mario Kart World in 2025? What are people gaining from being contrarians here? Nothing. You're just looking stupid. All I'm saying is that I know a contrarian. I know a Nintendo contrarian who made a fuck ton of money from taking a contrarian bet. Because it's a lot harder to be optimistic when everything looks like shit. It's way easier to be pessimistic when something has a chance of doing well. But it comes out like sour grapes to me. It's like they're just hating for clicks. But keep commenting on our videos. Comment on this video about how Switch 2 is a failure. It helps our videos show up in people's algorithms. Like, keep doing it. But you all look like idiots. All of these contrarians right now. And it's not unlike the political discourse in America right now. They keep moving the goalposts. Well, okay, well, it's sold well, but it's not good for kids. It's too hard. I saw people commenting on our P-Switch mission videos saying this is supposed to be a kid's game. And it's like, so now that's the narrative, is it's not for everyone? 4 out of 5 people who own the system own that game, but it's not for everyone. Okay, gotcha. You can stick your head in the sand long enough, but eventually someone's going to come up behind you and kick your ass, and you're not going to see it.
Yeah. I mean, people are just very negative about this stuff. I don't know if you saw the tweet launch week that went viral. It was a streamer, I forget her name, but she had posted a picture, and it was like the meme. It was like, oh, the stuff you live for kind of thing or whatever. And it was like a picture of, it was like her and her partner had like 2 Nintendo Switches and then like boxes of pizza. And it was just like, oh, it's going to be like a great night. And the tweet would only get like 20 million impressions of people just like
hating her,
shitting on her. Yeah, dunking on it, being like, oh, like you're a mark. Like you bought the 500, you bought 2 of the 500. It was going off on her. And it's like, this is like an adult who just like bought an entertainment system with their own money, with their partner. And it's like people have made think pieces on Twitter and written like 7 paragraph responses about it, and it's like it's just a negative hating contrarian mentality that it just drives people to be so toxic about shit that doesn't even matter.
So like 450 big headline number, 500 big headline number, easy to make angry pogger face or whatever in a YouTube thumbnail. But like, let's really talk about the value of the first Switch. If you bought it for $300 in March of 2017, you got 8 years of useful life out of that system. Let's say you didn't upgrade to OLED, right? That's $37.50 a year. Worth it. Super worth it.
I'd say so.
Like, you spend, like, the average American spends more on that in a day on food. Or around that. Or family, whatever you want to say. But, like, $300 for 8 years of enjoyment? I'm not complaining.
No.
And then you look at, like, let's just say we get a similar kind of return. $56 a year to have this portable, awesome, dockable gaming device. Like, the useful life of Nintendo products has to be considered when criticizing its price. And the same thing can be said about Mario Kart World. You said it earlier, Donovan. We're going to be playing that game for years. Years. And they're going to support it for years. That's implied by the price. It's implied by what they've done in the past in that series. But yeah, that narrative, it sounds a lot like people hating on iPod. It sounds a lot like people hating on iPhone. Remember, 2008, when iPhone 3G came out, oh, Apple's doomed. Remember, oh, this thing, the front-facing camera's resolution is too terrible. iPhone is doomed. It's like, no. There's elements of the first iPhone that are brilliant, even to this day. And it's like, you leave out things so that you can, scope limitations or whatever. But yeah, I see an echo of Apple's rise in the last 20 years and what we're seeing with Nintendo right now. But I can just tell you, when I'm a contrarian and I come knocking on your door as a stock investor, it turns out a lot better than being a hater when something's on top of the world. I actually don't know what these people have to gain, other than ephemeral YouTube clicks. But eventually, you just sound like an idiot, because you're regurgitating things that are founded on false premises. So, yeah, it's not me saying, hey, gee willikers, it'd be great if we were all optimistic. That's not what I'm saying. But at least be realistic. Like, instead of moving the goalposts, just say you were wrong. You know? I think Americans would benefit from that lesson just in general. But I think the gamer discourse, I've never heard these people say they were wrong. They just always make excuses for why that happened. Oh, Dom, to your point, it's those Nintendo marks. It's like, no, that lady worked hard to be able to afford the 2 pizzas and the 2 Switch 2s that she bought. Like, she's an adult. She can do whatever she wants with her money. The fact that people want to tell me what to do with my money, that's just comical. That people think that they can affect the buying patterns of complete strangers on the internet.
It's also worth mentioning now that we live in a social media landscape where you can buy Twitter or X premium and you are rewarded for the more engagements your tweets get. So that just incentivizes people to do more shit to stir the pot and get people to yell at them in their replies. And I'm of the mind that some of these posts, people don't even believe the shit they say. They just know that it's going to piss the most amount of people off by attacking popular or beloved thing. And they just do it and they go, all right, and they wait to see what the exact return is.
But you understand just how dangerous that is. How
it's terrible.
How it proliferates the spread of misinformation, which, David, I fucking railed against for the entire Shackcast. That was like 3 good minutes of every episode. I talked about the danger of spreading misinformation on the internet. And it just seems like it just gets worse because there's no accountability. Other than me calling out Michael Pachter, how does that guy have a job? Like, how can you be that wrong for that long? It's like, this is a complete tangent. You see David Zaslav got a pay cut? He's still making $6 million.
Yeah.
Like, that's way too much. For the amount of destruction he's done to the shareholders and the brands and the studios and the IP, he shouldn't be CEO anymore. But that's like, oh, we gave him a pay cut. It's like, I don't know. It's just, there's an overwhelming amount of greed and misinformation on the internet right now. But what I don't like, Donovan, like, you're right. They think that they're going to make $8 or their $8 that they paid for Elon's check mark. They're going to make that back in spades because they posted something they don't believe in that they know will get clicks. It's just one of my missions here editorially has been to not do that. Like, let's just wait until we have facts and report on facts and vet the facts. But you saw it on April 2nd. How many people took it cost $90, right? How many thumbnails say Mario Kart World cost $90? It's like thousands. Not a single retraction from any of those people. That's what's wrong with the media right now. And I don't mean websites or mainstream media. I mean broader media. Like, no accountability for being wrong or spreading misinformation. But yeah. It's easy to be a contrarian when everything's going well for a company. The inverse? It was awfully quiet when I was buying Nintendo shares. If you talk to me, I would tell you to buy Nintendo shares for probably about 10 years. People would ask me, what's your best investment idea? And I would openly say Nintendo, and I would explain why. And I would explain why they're in the situation they're in, how they can get out of that situation. Yeah. But yeah, it's just... Nintendo is not innocent in this situation. The way that they handled the price rollout for Switch 2 and the games led to this. But man, we're on the other side of it now, and it's just goalposts keep moving. It's like, okay, when Switch 2 hits 10 million sold this year, what are they gonna say? Well, those are all marks. Okay, when Donkey Kong eclipses 5 million sold, what are they gonna say? It has frame drops. Nintendo will never be good enough for these people. But it's console warrior tribalism that I just don't give a fuck about. Like, are the games good? Is the system fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Cool. It's video games. Why do we have to take everyone down a peg? Like, when something stupid happens in gaming, we should absolutely hold those companies accountable. Activision Blizzard is a fine example of that. But, like, I feel like there was more outrage over Diablo Immortal being a mobile game than there was about the Cosby Suite. And that's a problem with gamer discourse right now. But that's a broader conversation we can have down the road. I was just like, this is not a call for optimism. It's a call for accountability. If you create content about Nintendo, at least get your facts right. Just simple as that. And I know people are going to rush to react to whatever. And honestly, like, Daniel Ahmed tweets, and 3 outlets are going to write an article based on that tweet. And sometimes he's joking, and he has to tell them that he's joking, right? But, like, he's a good follow on social if you want to keep up to date about what's happening in gaming and the finance side. Circana and Matt DiPascalo over there, they do good work. But like I said, they will both tell you that they don't have the full picture either. So, like, quit acting like these are absolute data numbers. Like, they're not. And I think, Donovan, you pointed out last week, like, the success of the Switch 2 in unit sales is just going to lead to more third parties making games.
Yeah.
So, it's early. Anyway, I think that's all the Nintendo news we had, right? Anything else?
So.
I hope.
I hope. Still have to jet here.
Yeah, I hope we get a Switch 2 focused direct here in the next month after Donkey Kong launches. Like, third party titles. There's a rumor that Death Stranding's coming to Switch 2. The first Death Stranding. But yeah, like, there's some games out there that could be announced for Switch 2. So, I also heard a rumor that they might be teasing an Animal Crossing sequel soon.
When?
In July.
Okay.
That it might release next year. I don't know. That would be cool. But if we are like years and years away from a new Mario game, Animal Crossing would make a lot of sense for year 2. Because that's the game. That is a system seller. So, you want to sell systems in year 2, Isabelle might be better for that job than ever before, right? Because their last game sold 41 million units.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, that's a little tease for what to look forward to in the next few weeks. And, maybe we'll start hearing maybe we'll get some more Donkey Kong information before next episode, Donovan. Who knows?
Maybe.
Cool. Well, that'll do it. Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, do all those things. It makes Greg Burke very happy. Our YouTube channel's doing great. But yeah, thanks for joining me to talk about Switch 2 this week, guys. And we'll see you later, everyone. Bye, Shackers. See you next time.
Peace.